Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm your humble host, Kevin Kietzman, in for the fastest hour in radio. Coming your way leading up to the Vince Show. We've got a fine show lined up for you today, including we will not play Get Off My Lawn with Mark today. If he becomes a stand-in on an unnamed show that's being filmed by Hollywood in the Kansas City area, no Get Off My Lawn. That's an awesome thing to do. That is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Good for you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You've made the cut, which is better than most people can say, and there's a chance that it's something really cool. If you're a stand-in, you can actually possibly be on camera as one of the main actors where they show the back of your head while the other actor is doing their acting. That's possible. There's a lot of grunt work, as you said, lighting, sound checks, all that stuff when nobody's on set, nothing's going on. But that's awesome. We'll see how that goes. I think you're in for some long days, brother. That's what I think you're in for.
Yeah, that's what I would assume as well.
Whole lot of waiting around. Mm-hmm. But they cater those things fantastically.
I was wondering about that.
Grandma's Catering does a nice job every Monday here at KCMO Talk Radio, bringing us in something to eat for breakfast. But they need that account. That's some serious catering. Those movie sets, it's all day long. That's awesome stuff. We got a fine show lined up for you today, including good news, more good news on the economy coming right up. Really bad news around the Russia-Ukraine war, as far as I'm concerned, is it's starting to feel like there is some escalation. Also, a horrific crime in Los Angeles as burglars and now would-be murderers are targeting homes of the rich and famous, and something's got to change. We can't keep doing this in the United States. This is too easy for these burglars, and the latest involved an American Idol executive, and she and her husband are both dead as a result of it. This is a horrific story. This comes just weeks after Brad Pitt's house was broken into in Hollywood, and so many other celebrities. We'll talk about that and what maybe we can do down the road. We'll also get into the NPR and PBS discussion. It's been a 40-year discussion. Trust me, I am the first person anyone knows anywhere that called for defunding these agencies. It's been 40 years. I was calling for it in college. My professors were about to lose their mind. I kept saying, why do we get money here on KSDB in Manhattan on this station? Well, we're a government university, a state-run university, so we get funds. I said, it makes no sense. Why would we get money for funding here and the guys across the street that own their own business we're competing against don't? Hated it from day one, and I am ready to end the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It is all ahead. We begin with Missouri Congressman Mark Alford, who put a statement out. Oh, boy, Mark is going to look at me really funny. We're trying really hard to not talk about Epstein on this show, but Alford has dragged me back in, and I love me some Mark Alford, and I've known him for many, many, many years, and he's doing a great job, but his statement is off the mark for sure. I will read it to you if you haven't seen it, and then talk to you about why I don't like it. Mark Alford writes in his statement, for years, including my last day as a television news anchor, I've said the only thing that matters is the truth. The situation surrounding the Justice Department's files related to Jeffrey Epstein, I urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to responsibly release any files in its possession, including the underlying evidence that led to the memo stating that a so-called client list does not exist. We cannot allow this unfortunate sideshow to tarnish the legacy of the greatest president of my lifetime, Donald J. Trump. I agree with Lara Trump. The administration must provide complete and total transparency. The American people deserve nothing less. Mark Alford, you have just done the one thing nobody likes in a politician. You have spoken out of both sides of your mouth. I'm going to, once again, read this to you, the key words. The situation is gravely concerning. Then he says, it's an unfortunate sideshow that we cannot allow to tarnish the legacy of Donald Trump. Then he implores Trump and those people to release everything. Which is it? Is it gravely concerning or is it an unfortunate sideshow? In the same statement, Mark Alford, you wrote those things. That's not possible. That sounds a lot like a Democrat. You want it both ways. Pick a side here. This is either a sideshow and move on, or it's gravely concerning, like Thomas Massie wants to do. Thomas Massie now says in the House he's going to force a vote among the members of the House of Representatives to vote. Congress is going to vote on releasing this, on forcing some sort of release of the information. Look, I can't say this loud enough. This one's really simple. You have a witness in jail who's ultimately no danger to anybody. I don't think anybody claimed. I mean, she ran the thing. Epstein's order. She's a criminal. I'm not saying she's not a criminal. I don't think any children are in danger if Ghislaine Maxwell is not in jail. I highly doubt she'd go do it again. I don't think that's her deal. But whatever, maybe it is. Maybe it is dangerous. I can't say that I know. But if you want to pursue this thing, go offer her freedom and see if she'll talk. And if you have a witness that will tell you what happened, forget the files. Find a witness that saw stuff. Bring charges. Statute of limitations is going to be gone on most of these, if not all of them. That's another thing that nobody wants to talk about. Statute of limitations will be long gone on so much of this stuff. I don't know what the purpose of all this is. I side on the side with Alford of an unfortunate sideshow that we need to get rid of. We need to move on. But Alford says it's gravely concerning, and the American people deserve nothing less. We want complete and total transparency of an unfortunate sideshow. Sorry, Mark. Maybe that's not, as I read it and what's here, is maybe not exactly what you wanted to say, and maybe somebody wrote it for you. But I have no idea what your stance is on this thing. It sounds like you want to dig deep into it, but really what you want is to get rid of the sideshow and not tarnish the legacy of Donald J. Trump, the greatest presidency of your lifetime. So I can't see this issue both ways. To me, it's pretty black and white. You either want to continue the circus because you love going down these rabbit holes and you like kicking yourself in the groin. You like getting deep into stuff for years, convincing yourself something unbelievably epic is going to happen that's never happened before in the history of the United States. All these people are getting locked up. My God, all these celebrities. They're all going to jail. They're all pedophiles. We're catching all of them now in one fell swoop, and we're just going to perp walk them in their orange jumpsuits with handcuffs on. It's going to be glorious. You've convinced yourself that that's what should happen, and maybe it should. Let me be the one to tell you it's not going to happen. So the decision can't be based on the fact that you've lived your whole life dreaming. You know, I went to Kansas State University. I've dreamed my whole life that Kansas State is going to win a national title sometime in something other than crop judging. But you know what? It's not going to happen in my lifetime. They're not. And the way college athletics are going right now, it's going to get harder for places like K-State, not easier. Sometimes you got to be a realist. Say it's not going to happen. Winning the Big 12 is great. Let's go do that. Getting in the tournament, going to the Elite Eight, yes, all those things. Great seasons for a place like K-State. But where most of us sit, or for conspiracy theorists on the right, and the people really fueling this, which are the nationwide or global podcasters, they're just throwing fuel on the fire because their downloads go up so high. Like if I want to get ratings, I could just sit here and do Epstein every day. It'd probably be great for this show. I can't build your hopes like that. We got to be honest with one another, and I don't know what Mark Alford wants here. I really don't. I know what Thomas Massey wants. He wants to force a vote, and he wants to put people on record as saying they want to look into this or don't, because then somehow the people who don't want to look into it are implicated as maybe they're complicit or guilty. That's the game DC plays. I'm sick of that game. I'm tired of that game. I want things to happen. I want good things to happen, like the news we've seen on the producer price index in June. Unchanged. They expected it to go up 0.2%. It did not. We do not have the inflation they expected with tariffs. This is prices paid to American businesses for goods and services. It's a broader array of customers, including global customers, than your consumer price index. So this one, in many ways, is not as famous, but it is more important because it's broader. It encompasses a lot more. And right now, the price index in June, unchanged. That means no inflation. It's unchanged, which is awesome. We've got all these good things happening. We really do. And I'd love to see even more of those come to fruition over the next days, weeks, and months. I don't want anything to sideshow this thing, as Mark Alford calls it, an unfortunate sideshow. We don't need that. 4 years sounds like an eternity. It is not. You've watched the Trump administration work swiftly, smartly, and beautifully for nearly 6 months now. It's got to go 48 months like that. We can't have 6, 8, 9 months or a year at a time where we slough it off and get sidetracked with crap that we don't need, including wars. And now Zelensky is saber rattling, and he thinks he's got Trump on his side. And they're going to get together and try to scare the hell out of Putin. This is getting scary. We get bogged down in this Ukraine-Putin thing. It's going to be bad for everything you and I want to have happen in the United States. It's going to be terrible. Don't get sidetracked. We don't need sideshows. Mark Alford is calling for Department of Justice to release everything. Goodness knows where that would lead and what that would mean. 913-408-7957, the number to call, 913-408-7957. We got a million things going on in D.C. There's a lot going on in sports. The All-Star game last night was incredible. I don't know how many of our listeners watch baseball. I'm ready to give the Emmy Award out right now for Best Sports Television Broadcast of the Year. I don't think anything will touch the All-Star game last night. They had microphones on players. They had interaction. They had the starting shortstop for the American League mic'd up, and his dad in the stands with a microphone on, who was also a big league player at one point that I'd forgotten about. And you're watching a father and son, a father talk to a son, a rookie, starting at shortstop in the All-Star game live while the pitches are being thrown. And then I've never seen this before. Clayton Kershaw was pitching, likely for the final time in the All-Star game. And he had a microphone on and was talking to the announcers, telling them each pitch that was coming. It was just the most, they had a tribute to Hank Aaron that was fantastic. What a great night of sports television. We need more of that. 913-408-7957. Uncanceled is underway. You're up next on KCMO.
From Gardner to Grain Valley, it's Kevin Kietzman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, I still got a couple of lines open here, and I don't have anybody from District 4 in Missouri. I want to hear, if you voted for Mark Alford and he's your representative, what do you think of him saying about the Epstein situation, calling it an unfortunate sideshow that's gravely concerning? Which is it? And has he disappointed you? And what do you want, if he's your representative, what do you want him to do? If you live in District 4, Missouri, and Mark Alford's your guy, call me, 913-408-7957. We begin today with Fred in Fairway on KCMO. Good morning, Fred.
Hey, good morning. Mark Alford's a former newsman. He worked with news people. He knows that our government should be transparent, and that's why he's calling for the release of these files. You say you're worried about where it goes. I think it's more worrisome what the conspiracy theories will say they're not revealing. Let's get it out there. Let's see what it says.
Okay, I really don't have that big of a problem with that, except for when you start releasing information about people that did nothing wrong. What's the point of that? If you want to bring charges against somebody, if we have a witness, if there's a victim coming forward saying this person, this person, this person, let's go do that. And let's release all information about those specific people. But to release everything that every investigator ever asked anyone, including all of the different people that were on flight logs, most of whom never committed a crime, let's be honest. Not everybody that ever was around Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, because Donald Trump was around him. And we don't even remotely consider it was Trump. If Trump were involved in this and had been there and done something wrong, you don't think the Democrats would have exposed that the last 4 years? Of course they would. So, there's this curious situation about people who were around Epstein that did nothing wrong. You're just going to expose all them and let everyone in the world think they're terrible, horrible pedophiles?
Let's release the files.
Okay, good. So your answer is yes. Your answer is yes. To hell with the people who did nothing. Let's ruin their lives. That's your response.
Well, I don't want to ruin their lives.
Of course you
do.
do.
You want to ruin their
what
lives?
if your name's on there? You okay with that?
Fundraiser for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yes, I met Jeffrey Epstein on an airplane.
You did.
I'd be happy to tell people
You
why
did not.
my name's in that file.
What if there's just a photo of you at some picture where that night something allegedly happened and you're standing there with a cocktail in your hand talking to Jeffrey Epstein? You didn't even know you were talking to Jeffrey Epstein, and now you're implicated in this because you're in the photograph. And it ruins your life because now you got people on your lawn throwing rocks at your window. You want that? Goodbye. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the calls. You don't think about what happens to other people. People are asking the Department of Justice to release everything. You can say client list, whatever. That's not what people want. They want everything released. After 60 some years, we just got the JFK files. And guess what? Snooze. Boring. You really want to do this? Everybody always thinks they know what's there. Look, I believe the government does all kinds of nefarious things that we don't know about behind our back. And there may be some giant thing here. This would be what would get me if it has to do with Israel and Europe or European countries and the United States was working with them. And that's the reason we're not finding it out. Yeah, I'd love to expose that. I'd love to know that my government was corrupt and did this if this were the government. You're not putting, I keep saying, I can't say enough, you're not putting Bill Gates in jail. It's just not going to happen. You'd like to think that these rich and powerful people, that's going to happen to them, but it's probably not going to. All right, let's go to Tom joining us now in Cleveland, Missouri. Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, I voted for Mark Alford. I'm right here in the 4th District on the west side. I do think that it's somewhat of a sideshow. I'd like to see that, but there's, what we have is reality, and reality is things as they really are. You've got rich, powerful people, Bill Gates types, corporate leaders, politicians, senators, et cetera, that have possibly been to Epstein Island, and they would probably pay lots of money to not, have this list exposed.
All right. So, in your opinion, in your opinion, is it more of an unfortunate sideshow, or is it more gravely concerning?
It's, that's a tough. It's actually both.
Well, that's what Alford's saying.
What I see is the whole situation between Jeffrey Epstein. I see what he did as, gaining political influence through blackmail. He had pictures of people doing improper things with children. Then, when a certain vote came up, hey, you better vote this way or we're going to release these pictures.
Okay.
I think some of that went on. I was there, obviously, so I can't tell. I've got to work for a living.
Yep.
But I'm more concerned about, how much money gets spent improperly. How did the Steele dossier get put together?
All right.
Who's going to be held accountable in the previous DOJ?
I'm with you.
Et cetera.
I'm with you. Excellent call. I'm more with you than the previous caller, no question. I'm more concerned about the government's actions than Bill Gates. Here is Mark in Sedalia. Hi, Mark. How are you today?
Hey, top of the morning. Hey, last time I checked, Epstein was dead. And anything ever said about him or pictures of the way AI is and everything else, you can't believe everything you see. And, as far as what is written down or pictures or anything else, that's hearsay. We got more important things to worry about than, what happened 30 years ago.
Okay.
And it's a dead issue.
Awesome, buddy. Appreciate the call. That's Mark in Sedalia. Good stuff right there. Here is Chad in Kansas City. Hi, Chad.
Hey there, how's it going today?
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're misinterpreting Mark's quote, and at least I hope you are. I think he's referring to the sideshow as the Republican Party, Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino right now, giving the Democrats some place to find a weakness. I think he does think it's a great situation and wants the truth to come out.
All right, so then he's part of the unfortunate sideshow.
Didn't he say he wants them to release information?
But Mark Alford's statement becomes part of the unfortunate sideshow.
Well, maybe he just wasn't clear enough to explain. I don't think he thinks the Epstein thing is a sideshow. I don't think anybody would think that.
What do you think he thinks? What do you think he thinks is the sideshow?
The issue with Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, them fighting the DOJ about releasing it,
and now
everybody believes.
And now Alford's pouring fuel on that fire, wanting more of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I don't think he thinks Epstein's a sideshow.
Okay. All right, so the actual case itself is not. He just wants to be part of the sideshow to reopen the case.
I guess.
And that's a perfectly good theory. I think you might be right, actually. Great call. That seems to make at least a little bit of sense. That Alford's like, well, it's a sideshow. I might as well get involved in it because I want this stuff released. There you have it. Uncanceled continues. Call 408-7957. We're back in a flash.
Call Kevin Kietzman, 913-408-7957. Now on 95.7 FM.
We're back on KCMO Talk Radio. Great to have you with us on this great day. I got some rain this morning, man. That was nice. I woke up to rain. It rained about 4:45 at my house or so, something like that. It's pretty nice to finally see some. We've got a lot of news this summer of places that are getting flooded and rain and all that happening. Boy, we could sure use some at the Kietzman house. I don't know about you. That grass was getting crispy. I don't like that. I like to be green and good and ready to go. All right, here we go. Back to the phones, and we're going to Wes in Gladstone up first this segment. Hi, Wes. How are you today?
Hey, good. So take it from someone who's an SEC fan. Thomas Massey is an ignorant Kentucky hillbilly, man. And anybody who's following this guy's lead on this Epstein thing should be back in Appalachia with him strumming on the old banjo. Now, to change subjects on you real quick, I would pay to hear you debate Nick Haynes, Pete's buddy, on taxpayer funding of PBS and NPR. I think that would be great. You should try to get him on your show.
I'm not sure there'd be anything left of Nick. I like him too much to do that to him. There's no defending it. There's simply no defending it. The only defense of keeping the spending for NPR and PBS is to say we're now going to regulate the programming to where each party gets half the time.
I'd still love to hear him try, man. It would be good, but I understand what you're saying. But yeah, this Epstein thing, people give it up, man. That the one guy that called in and was talking about the list, has he seen the list? Has anybody seen the list? No, it's all speculation. It's crazy. Right. It's just nuts, man. So
good call, buddy.
Have a good show.
Thank you. Yeah, Massey wants the sideshow to continue. He's mad at Trump. So you know what Massey wants to do. He wants to force a vote on the House floor because he's got Trump derangement syndrome now after the big, beautiful bill and all that stuff. So he's going after Trump. That's all this is about.
And like I said, he should be in Appalachia strumming on the old banjo instead of being in Congress, man. Well
done, buddy. Well done. Thank you. Appreciate that. This is Mark in Shawnee on Uncanceled, KCMO Talk Radio. Hi, Mark.
Hi, good morning. I've just listened to this discussion and thinking of the totality of the subject matter. I'm just going to point to a couple things. One, who do we vote for? Trump. If you trust Trump and the people he elected, no matter how much you'd like to find the dirt out, we can't be like rats in a cage. We have so many things that Biden screwed up. I mean, just take your pick, Comey and Brennan. How far should we chase that down? You look at the economy, the wars going on, Ukraine. You look at immigration. There's so many things that are screwed up because this idiot we had in the White House. So we got to focus. If Trump, how many mazes can you send rats down that they sit back and laugh? Look at them. They went for that one while the real crises are happening. So I understand that people would like to find that out. I just don't think we're going to. And I think of, man, this is really stressful. What would you go for? You got to go for the meat that's really going to hurt them and change our world for a better. And when Trump says, I'm going to let it go, I'm going to let it go. That's it. Trust him.
Great call. That's why people wear hats that say Trump is always right. He's been right on almost everything. I don't know. I don't think this is that important compared to other things. Look, I'm not afraid of going after some of these things, like this thing going on with Adam Schiff. Let's do it. All right. If he filled out mortgage applications, Freddie Mac, federally backed mortgages, on a home in Maryland in 2010, and he checked a box that said that's his main residence, while he ran for Congress in California, which was his main residence, whatever the law says you can do to him, do it. This should be the easiest cut and dried thing ever. If he filled out mortgage applications that said his Maryland home was his first residence, not his secondary residence, to get a better interest rate, because that's what you get. Second mortgages or second residences, you always get a higher rate. I don't know why that is. Maybe they should change the laws. It seems stupid to me, but it's the way it is. So if he lied on that, he committed some sort of a crime, whatever that is, whether it's punishable by a fine, whatever. Drag Adam Schiff through that. Every one of these guys dragged them through that. He's still there. He's in the Senate. He's still there. Go get these people. Do that. If Jill Biden was running the White House or her chief of staff was running the White House with an auto pen, let's go get that. Let's do that. That's what our federal government should be doing. But the DOJ, the FBI, whatever, what happened 10, 15, 20 years ago with Jeffrey Epstein, I have no idea. I'm guessing statute of limitations run out on so much of it now anyway that might boggle your mind. Here is Monica, north of Kearney, Missouri. Hi, Monica. How are you today?
Fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, my deal on Epstein. Well, it's done and over with. He's gone. Good riddance. The rule of law. You can't put out a list of names and the people haven't been charged. Isn't that defamation of character?
I think it opens up all kinds of potential lawsuits to start releasing information and names of people that absolutely positively did nothing wrong.
Well, you really can't put a list out, and I think Pam Bondi should put it to rest by saying that we have names, but we haven't charged anybody, so therefore we cannot release that list. It's not pertinent right now. He's gone, and we should feel sorry for all of his victims.
I think what ends it,
and we should move on.
If Trump wants this to go away, and this is curious to me why he wouldn't do it, all he has to do is come forward and say, if Ghislaine Maxwell will step forward and give us all the information on the people that we have in these files that we think possibly committed a crime, and she will become witness, I will pardon her and we'll set her free. That would do it. Forget the files. Start over. Start new. How about you go get Ghislaine Maxwell and she becomes a witness? That I'd listen to all day. Now it's no longer a conspiracy.
Kind of sorted.
Right, but that's no longer files and a conspiracy. That's 2025, a witness with a beating heart that was there and organized it that says this happens and I'm doing this for clemency. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, and then you have the people that singers, they're going to say, well, that's just hearsay or that's not so and so.
Maybe.
I'm just saying that without true evidence, hard evidence, you can't really release people's names because then you are destroying their character.
Well,
I mean, even if they have one.
I'm agreeing with you. I agree with you. I think that's the biggest problem with this, and that's why the courts have held so much of this stuff back, is you have to protect people that would be innocent. But let's assume there's some evidence out there that is, not complete evidence, incomplete evidence, and it could be corroborated by Ghislaine Maxwell and confirmed. That would also do it. That would also ramp it forward. Now you have somebody that corroborates it. There are ways to do this, but the way to do it isn't, here's everything we know on this from the last 20 years. It's released to the public. The JFK files were protected for how long? For what reason? There's a lot of people in the JFK files named that didn't do anything wrong. And there are witnesses, and they didn't want their lives disrupted. You just can't go ruin people's lives. Do you know what kind of crazy people are going to be standing on lawns throwing rocks at houses if you just release every name in this thing? It's just, it just doesn't make sense to me. But maybe I'm different than most. I'm not 100% sure. All right, here is Paul in Kansas City. Hi, Paul. What's on your mind?
Hey, Kevin. I don't care about the Epstein files. The existential threat to me right now is that jihadist communist that's being held as a conquering hero in Capitol Hill right now. Every patriotic American ought to watch this in New York City because this is coming to a neighborhood to you. So forget the Epstein files. Trump and these guys need to focus on Zohan the Destroyer because he's in D.C. right now and he's a rock star. And that could spread, and God help us.
I'm going to make a prediction. This is going to boggle your mind, and I'm not an expert. It's just my gut tells me. I'll bet he doesn't win.
Boy, I hope so, Kevin. Man, I hope so. As a Jewish American, if this jihadist gets in there with Sharia law and what he wants to do, man.
Well, he's not going to get one Jewish vote in New York, right?
You damn right. No.
Okay.
Never again, Kevin. Never again, brother.
And I think he's not going to do well with the black vote in New York. I'm not sure why the Hispanic vote would be with him. I mean, we can go up and down the list. I'm not sure who'd be with him other than crazy white women.
Yeah, these basement dwellers at 25. But if Adams and Cuomo split the centrist vote, he could backdoor it. But he's down in D.C. right now. AOC brought him down there, and they're treating him like a rock star.
Yep. Well, I think if the Republican pulls out of this thing and everybody goes with the current mayor, I think the current mayor would probably beat him. I almost no doubt There's also Trump wants Cuomo to stay in and just say, okay, let's just muddy this thing up with 4 candidates, and then the communists could never win. All right, one final call on this topic today. This is Paul in Kansas City. Hi, Paul. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Paul. John in Lewisburg. Hey, John. Sorry about that, buddy.
Hey,
Go
Kevin.
ahead.
I agree with you on the client list. I'm not concerned about the client list. Pam Bondi said there were thousands of hours of tapes of young women, young boys being abused. I want these people exposed. And people keep acting like it's Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and Castell working as a small little group. The DOJ has thousands of employees. And if they can't put at least 4 or 5 people just watching these videos and identifying people, come on now.
What videos?
Pam Bondi said she had thousands of hours of video.
The video was from his jail cell.
No. She said, because we'd talked about it before, or it's been talked about, nobody wants to see young kids being abused. I don't want to see videos of that.
Right.
Pam Bondi said there are thousands of hours of video.
All right.
Go back and check it out.
Well, they're not going to release that.
Well, I want the people exposed. I don't care to watch video.
What if you can't prosecute off of it? What if the statute of limitations are gone?
She'll expose them.
Okay. All right. Good enough. A lot of people agree with you. A lot of people, you just want it all out there. And I'm not trying to be, cold or hardened to the victims and not feel bad for people that had terrible things that happen. And many of the women have stepped up, young girls, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls. That's the children we're talking about in most cases. We're teenagers, and they've stepped forward. They've been identified. We know who some of those people are. And we've seen the picture of the one girl with the prince. I don't even know which prince it was, or the brother of the prince or what. We've seen all those things. I get it. I understand why people want all this exposed. It's awful. What happened was awful. There's no question. But not everything that happened every minute of every day around Jeffrey Epstein was awful. That's where it gets complicated. And you implicate everyone. When you release everything, when you're saying just release everything, let's release it all, it gets really, really complicated. Look, I want a witness. I want somebody to step forward and say, this is it. We're going to go forward with this person. And then put them in front of Congress or do whatever you want to do, a select committee behind closed doors. You want to go after whatever you go after that way. These people are almost all alive except Epstein. If you're going to do it that way. Get witnesses and get after it. It isn't really about leaving it to the public. And we might hear from Pam Bondi and Donald Trump that they're doing an investigation and there could be some arrests or charges pending. But you don't do that publicly. You got to be careful with this stuff. These people are alive. If you can get them to talk, if you can get them to speak under oath and give testimony, that's the way you go after folks. And unfortunately, that's not something you want televised right now. It's not something we need just released. Release all these documents and everything. No, if it's there, go get it. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. I think the pressure is going to ratchet up on them to where they will. I think they're going to go try to prosecute somebody, and I'll bet it fails, or I'll bet it's a statute of limitations issue. There's all kinds of problems with this case because it's just not recent. The guy's been dead a long time. This is a really, really, really complicated one. And hey, listen, if that's your thing, if your compassionate self is concerned for the victims, and that's more important than the rest of the things going on with the Trump administration and going on in the United States, if that's what your concern is, I respect you for that. I almost admire it. But I'm looking at this Trump presidency. I got a million things I want to get done. And I'd love to catch all these creeps and lock them all up. I'm a realist. I don't think it's going to happen. And so I'm ready to move on and make things happen that can happen. That seems maybe more urgent to me than the other. Uncanceled continues on KCMO Talk Radio. We are brought to you today by our friends at bestofferkc.com. You've got a friend at bestofferkc.com. They're really your real estate friends. If you need to move a home quickly with no hassle and no realtor, bestofferkc.com are the real estate friends you can count on. They'll give you great consultation and advice that sometimes doesn't have anything to do with them working with you. There might be a better solution for you than selling your house to bestofferkc.com. There's nobody else in the industry will do things like that and say, oh, there's a better thing. Yeah, trust me, there's better than us. Go do this. They'll do that for you. They're compassionate. They want the best for you when you really got to go. When you don't want to clean your house, fix your house, show your house, or hire a realtor, it's bestofferkc.com. That's bestofferkc.com, 816-338-SOLD, and leave your hassle behind with bestofferkc.com.
If it's happening in KCMO, it's on KCMO 95.7 FM. Here's Kevin Kietzman.
All right, my man Mark Van Sickle's got a big week or two ahead of him, I believe. We think he's going to be working as an extra on a television show that's being filmed, an unnamed television show, somewhere secretly in the Kansas City area. And you are very excited, aren't you?
Yeah, it should be fun. A little nervous, but I just don't know what to expect. That's why.
And it's okay to say that you're a stand-in. You're going to be a stand-in.
Yeah.
And a stand-in comes early in the morning or whatever before the scene, and they check the lighting and the sound and the angles and all that to make sure that when the actor comes out, everything's already ready and he doesn't have to stand there and do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
A stand-in is also someone that you occasionally see the back of their head while the other person is acting. Stand-ins sometimes are standing across from one of the main actors while they're giving their lines. The scene is not a give and take. It's just a one-sided conversation of somebody giving lines, correct?
Yeah.
And that could be you?
Could be. We'll see.
And we don't have any idea. Well, you do. We can't talk about which show it is or who the actors were, but it's pretty famous.
Yeah, I think so.
What's your wife
find
think?
out. She's excited.
Can you take somebody with you or not? You have to go alone?
I think it's alone.
Yeah.
I'll have to sign an NDA when I get onto the set.
Right.
So
maybe the last day they let you maybe bring somebody for an hour and
I don't know.
do you think, or have you asked, this would be a question that I would ask, will you take still photos of the work being done? I'd rather have that than the money.
Oh, just like working with the people?
Yeah. Like if you're a stand-in and you're across from Scarlett Johansson standing there.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather have the picture with ScarJo doing the work than the actual pay. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't
I didn't even think I could be. I guess I can't say it, but
They take a lot of still photos, but
yeah,
you probably want to ask them because they won't let you take pictures, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that I have to put my phone in a case or
in
something
a bin.
like that.
In a bin. That'll be great. The All-Star game last night was a smashing success, dude. How much it was a little slow because the National League was winning it, but the interviews got us through that part. It was almost like 3 different things happened. We had an interview segment of excellent baseball, live interviews of players mic'd up. Then we had wild scoring and a frenzied comeback that included the Royals everywhere, Markel Garcia and Bobby Witt Jr., and Chris Bubich giving up a 3-run homer. And then we had a swing off. Tell everybody what a swing off is.
The swing off, it comes down to like a home run derby. Each player that gets picked, 3 players from each team, gets 3 swings. And I guess for the National League, they didn't even need to use all of their 3 players because they had a guy, Schwarber, that got 3 bombs in a row.
So this is the first time a guy ever went 0 for 2 in the All-Star game and was the MVP.
Yep, I was thinking about that. I was hoping Alonso would get 1 home run to walk it off because he had the 3-run home run off Bubich. I thought if he could get 1 home that swing off, he would get the MVP, but he didn't even get a chance.
And you think the American League could have won, but they had the wrong hitters at the plate, correct?
Yeah, I think that the manager was absolutely disastrous. I think it's Aaron Boone was the manager for the American League. Terrible.
Okay, so it could have been, who would you have had? What 3 would you have had? Cal Raleigh?
I would have had Cal Raleigh. He, big dumper, he won the home run derby.
Aaron Judge?
Aaron Judge would have been out there, and then Bobby Witt Jr., he got 2nd place in the home run derby last year.
And how many do you think that the American League hitters got 3 total out of 9 pitches, or out of 9 swings?
Yeah, I think they would have got at least 8 out of 9.
8 out of 9?
I think they would have got 8 out of 9. And I think that the NL might have gotten 8 out of 9 on their end, too, so it could have gone to another swing off.
Well, the solution for the American League to win, we know what this was. Once you got to the swing off, all we needed was Charlie Sheen to come in and be the pitcher.
Yeah.
And then it would have been 9 out of 9 home runs because that's all he's been doing is giving up bombs
That's
lately.
True.
He didn't see the light of day, right? He didn't play.
He
did?
Yeah, he got in there.
Which inning did he pitch?
I can't remember the inning, but he gave up a couple hits. 2
Of
guys
course.
got on base.
Of course.
But he got out of it.
Maybe his nickname should be Dirty Innings. I mean, even if he gives up no runs, there's runners all over the place. It's wild.
It's true.
The Vince Show's coming up next. Thank you so much for listening to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.